All right, Jackrabbit fans, I know it's been a rough couple weeks. Coach Rogers leaving for Washington State, yeah, that was a tough one. But it's not just him leaving, right? He's taking the entire coaching staff with him. And who knows how many players are going to follow him out the door. It's a mess, especially with the late signing period coming up so soon. And the NDSU's over there just waiting to pounce. So today we're going to dive deep into the big question. Can SDSU football recover from this? And if so, how?
Well, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, you look at Rogers' record at SDSU, 27-3 in just 2 seasons, back-to-back national championships, including that perfect 15-0 season, and an Eddie Robinson Award on top of all that. He definitely built on what was already a solid program. But yeah, this leaves a huge hole. And like you said, the timing really couldn't be worse. Yeah, it's brutal. First, the coaching staff is gone. Now the top receiver is already in the transfer portal. And I'm hearing rumors that dozens more players might be on their way out, too. It feels like the whole program's falling apart.
I understand the concern. You've got all the graduating seniors, plus the potential for this mass exodus. It could decimate the roster. And then you have the recent signing class. Those guys are in a really tough spot. They committed to a program that looks completely different now. With the coaching staff gone, their NIL deals could be voided. It's a very precarious situation.
It's a feeding frenzy out there. All the other programs are just waiting to swoop in and grab these talented players.
That's the reality of college football these days. The transfer portal has changed everything. Players have so much more freedom to move around, and when a coach leaves like this, it often creates a domino effect. Unfortunately, SDSU is experiencing that firsthand.
Speaking of tough situations, let's talk about North Dakota State. While SDSU is over here trying to pick up the pieces, NDSU is sitting pretty. They've got a thriving collective. They can pay Alston rewards. And they've got a ton of talented players coming back. It feels like they're just rubbing salt in the wound.
NDSU's success definitely highlights the challenges SDSU is facing. It puts even more pressure on them to rebuild quickly and effectively. If they don't, the gap between the two programs is only going to get bigger.
So what's the path forward for SDSU? Where do they even begin to recover from this?
Well, the most urgent thing is finding a new head coach, someone who can stabilize the program, and someone who can give the players and the fans something to believe in.
I've been checking out the SDSU forum, and there are a lot of names being thrown around. Bobbitt, Lujan, Eidsness. Some people are even talking about Dan Jackson from UND. It seems like everyone's got an opinion.
It's understandable. This is a pivotal moment for the program.
So what qualities should SDSU be looking for in their new coach?
Well, experience in the Missouri Valley Football Conference is essential. The MVFC is a tough league. They need someone who understands how to win in this conference. They also need to be a proven recruiter, someone who can bring in top talent. And maybe most importantly, they need to be a strong leader, someone who can unite the program and guide them through this difficult time.
It sounds like they need a miracle worker. But finding the right coach is only the first step. What else is crucial for SDSU's recovery?
Stabilizing the roster is absolutely critical. They need to keep as many of their current players as possible, and they need to convince as many of their recruits to stick with the program as they can. And then they're going to have to use the transfer portal strategically to fill any holes in the roster.
So it's about damage control, rebuilding trust, and making smart decisions.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's take a look at what the fans are saying about all of this. We'll dive into some of the reactions from the SDSU forum and see what's on people's minds. Stay with us.
The SDSU forum is always a good place to take the temperature of the fan base. And let me tell you, it's pretty heated right now.
Yeah, scrolling through the threads. It's clear that a lot of fans feel betrayed by Rogers.
That's understandable. They feel like he built his success on the backs of these players, and now he's just walking away with them.
One user, Yankton Jack 7, put it pretty bluntly. He said, agree with this. Won a championship with Stig's players, then decimates the program on the way out for a place that will likely never win anything.
Yeah, that sentiment is all over the forum. Fans feel like Rogers used SDSU as a stepping stone, and they're not happy about it.
But it's not all doom and gloom. There's also a lot of talk about solutions. Fans are already brainstorming names for the new coach, and they're coming up with strategies for using the transfer portal.
That's what I love about SDSU fans. They're passionate, and they're resilient. They know that this program has faced challenges before, and they believe that it can overcome this one too.
One name that keeps popping up is Dan Jackson, the current coach at UND. GoJax2011 commented, I think Dan Jackson needs to be the guy. We are going to need somebody who knows the MVFC and can recruit and rebuild fast.
Jackson's name makes sense. He's a proven winner in the MVFC. And he's known for his recruiting ability.
But then you have fans like Jabe Jack who bring up the financial side of things. He asked, you think Jack's can afford Jackson right now?
That's a valid question. SDSU might not be able to match the salaries that some of the bigger programs can offer.
And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room, North Dakota State. While SDSU is in rebuilding mode, NDSU is just getting stronger.
It's definitely a challenge. NDSU has built a dynasty, and they have a lot of advantages.
But SDSU has beaten them before.
Yeah.
How can SDSU close the gap with NDSU?
It all starts with the new coach. They need to find someone who can create a winning culture, someone who can develop talent, and someone who can get the most out of the resources they have.
So it's about finding the right leader and about building a program that can compete with the best.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's move beyond the speculation and talk about some concrete steps that SDSU can take. What are some actionable things they can do right now to start this recovery process? So we've talked about the fan reaction, and we've talked about the challenges ahead. Now let's get down to brass tacks. What can SDSU actually do to get back on track?
Well, first things first. They need to fill that head coaching vacancy. Every day that goes by without a leader just adds to the uncertainty. And that's not good for anyone.
But finding the right coach is easier said than done. What should they be looking for?
Well, experience in the MVFC is a must. This isn't a conference where you can just learn on the job.
So they need someone who knows the ins and outs of the MVFC.
Exactly. They need someone who understands the recruiting landscape, someone who knows how to win in this league.
And what about the players? How do they stop the bleeding?
The new coach needs to be reaching out to those players immediately, reassure them, let them know what the plan is, try to keep as many of them in Brookings as possible.
It's about damage control at this point.
Pretty much.
But even if they manage to keep some of the current players, they're still going to have some holes to fill.
Absolutely. And that's where the transfer portal comes in.
So how can they use the portal effectively?
It's about being strategic. It's not just about filling spots. It's about finding the right players, players who fit the new coach's system.
So they need to have a plan.
Exactly.
And what about the fans? What role can they play in all of this?
Well, SDSU fans are some of the most passionate in the country. And that passion can be a huge asset. Now is the time for them to rally around the program, show those players that they're supported.
So even though things look bleak right now, there's still reason for optimism.
Definitely. Rebuilding takes time, but SDSU has a strong foundation. And with the right leadership, they can absolutely get back to the top.
It's going to be a journey.
No doubt.
But I think it's a journey that Jackrabbit fans are ready to take. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.